Welcome back to Strange Form. Today we will be looking at part 1 of my top 20 strangest Big Chap figures ever released, 20 through 11. Number 20. The Alien Windup figure. In the 1970s and 80s, little plastic wind-up figures were all the rage, from E.T. to Frankenstein and all the way to little Godzillas that shot sparks out of their mouths as they walked along. Wind-up figures were a popular find in souvenir shops and variety stores globally. But was there ever a Xenomorph wind-up toy? Well, in fact there were 3. More recently, there was the Bilkin Toys tin figure, which was copywritten to the second film, and then there were 2 variations of this little guy, both unlicensed, one with an open mouth and the other with a closed mouth. Both versions were produced in the 1980s, but beyond that, there's very little known about these, because they were unlicensed and recast and produced by several different companies. Now, what makes this a Big Chap, you might ask? I mean, he has the ridged head of the second film. In order to qualify as a Big Chap figure, I have a rule that it meets one or both of these criteria. It's licensed to the original 1979 film, or it has physical characteristics that imply it was intended to be the creature from the first film. One of these biggest telltale signs is a 6th finger, especially if the figure was produced before Alien 3. Which brings us to this little fellow. Number 19. This small chap is an officially licensed keychain and was released in Japan in early 1992. This tiny little chap is exceedingly rare, almost to the point of complete obscurity. Now on to number 18. We find something a little less obscure, but worth talking about nonetheless, and that's 52 Toys Alien Box, part of the popular Beast Box series, once again where rock lords did before them, proving that people like to transform things into inanimate objects. 1 part super deformed posable figure, and 1 part Rubik's Cube. The Alien Box is actually an intricate love letter to the creature design, sporting a ton of articulation and satisfyingly complex transformation process. This little figure allows for you to fold a chestburster, facehugger, and egg all into one neatly storable little cube. So this figure makes the list for being the closest we are probably ever going to get to a Xenomorph transformer. Number 17. With so many super deformed chibi-style figures on the market, it's difficult to say any of them are strange when they outnumber regular Alien figures 2 to 1. But there is one that stands out as strangest among these, the Baby Alien, by Alex Solis. Standing at nearly 7 inches tall, this vinyl figure was produced by the company Mighty Jax, and is a 3-dimensional representation of one of Alex Solis's Baby Terrors illustrations, a series of fun cartoon-style illustrations of famous movie monsters reimagined as babies. This vinyl figure features a see-through dome, drool effects, and a birth certificate to show authenticity. Truly, you aren't a real Alien fan if you don't have the Alien Baby. Number 16. Keeping with the theme of comic illustrators reimagining the Star Beast, we have a Loot Crate production of Joe Spiato's Alien Next Door, based on a fun little illustrated children's book called The Alien Next Door, In Space No One Can Hear You Clean. This strange little desktop statue allows for you to imagine a disillusioned middle-aged Big Chap apathetically walking a pet facehugger through your neighborhood while doom-scrolling on his phone. Number 15. USB Alien by Cube Company. Like it says on the box, world first USB gadget of Alien. This odd little toy is not in fact a USB flash drive, but simply just a motorized action figure powered by the USB port on your computer or phone charger, or really anywhere you have a USB Type-A port. Though somewhat rare, this odd little fellow was not entirely popular due to its limited functionality, and the fact that it was going to be taking up precious USB ports on your computer. When plugged in, the inner mouth jets out at different lengths and intervals randomly, with a glowing red LED light inside the mouth. I will say one thing about this little guy. The coloration of the inner mouth is correct, something Mezco couldn't be bothered with in regard to their 1/12 figure. Number 14. Like before with the super deformed figures, there are almost too many Lego-style figures to make them an oddity. Lest 1. The Bear Chap. Manufactured by Medicom Toys, the Bear Brick figure line is very similar to Funko Pop figures in that they use a simple template with tons of different paint applications and skins. Measuring from 1.5 inches to over 2.5 feet tall, the Alien Bear Chap had several different releases and has maintained its collectability even as the market has cooled on the Bear Brick product overall. Number 13. Franklin Mint Alien. A profile in terror. Yes, that's right. The same Franklin Mint your grandparents collect also commemorated Giger's monster in 100% solid pewter, measuring just over 5 inches tall and sporting some serious wallet-breaking international shipping heft. This iridescent beauty is one that will definitely impress all the collectors down at the old folks' home. Is it the most film-accurate or intricately detailed figure? Not really, but it is the only officially licensed solid pewter Big Chap. Number 12. The Hallmark Keepsake. From Egg to Alien Christmas Tree Ornament. Nothing says Christmas like the birth of a new Xenomorph. And to show your festive appreciation for this perfect organism, you would have to be gluing Christmas hooks onto your toys. But Hallmark understood your dilemma and has you covered. This is the keepsake ornament that every child wishes their grandparents would send them. Number 11. The last entry in part 1 of my top 20 strangest alien Big Chap figures is none other than Hot Toys' Hot Angel Alien Girl, or the Big Chick. Though this figure is part of the Aliens vs. Predator 2-part Hot Angel figure series, the Alien Girl is definitely trying to call forth the 79 monster, more than any of the other iterations of the creature. From the domed head with visible skull, to the alien gun that's made to look like the contraption the space jockey was hooked up to. The only thing reminiscent of the other films is the Alien Queen base. The Alien Girl's counterpart, She-Predator Machiko, is technically a less nonsensical figure, as she actually had a running appearance in Dark Horse Comics' AVP series. But if you have them both, there is only one appropriate way to display them. That's right. Pool party. In the end, this figure is a patently ridiculous attempt at fan service, which lands her squarely in the middle of my list. And this figure represents a time in Hot Toys history where they were just starting to be taken seriously and were throwing quite a bit at the board to see what sticks. The company has long since matured and their figures are far more polished, but a girl wearing cleavage-pushing Xenomorph lingerie definitely deserves a place on this list. But as weird as she is, as Bon Jovi said, we're only halfway there, and as we inch ever closer to number 1, I ask, are any of these in your collection? What's the strangest collectible you own in any genre? Honorable mention. Muscle Chap. That's right, Super 7 has shrunk down the Big Chap to be one of millions of unusually small creatures lurking everywhere. Originally an extremely popular series of Japanese erasers called Kinikishi, these figures were eventually released in North America under the acronym MUSCLE. More recently, Super 7 has reinvigorated this license with a series of first and second film Alien figures, as well as a Masters of the Universe line. The first Alien run came in miniature card back form, with 3 figures each totaling 12, and a garbage pail full of translucent red variants. Like many of Super 7's lineup, these are a nostalgic and fun throwback to the 1980s toy market, and I would really like to see them branch out into an entire horror icon line of these. Number 10. Super 7's Alien Bubble Wand Bottle. Known for their whimsical retro take on famous properties, Super 7 is no stranger to odd licensing decisions, but maybe their strangest decision was a 2-part Alien Bubble Wand set. Seen here is the Big Chap himself, filled to the brim with soapy fluid and ready to fill your spacecraft with xenobubbles. The other figure being a spacesuit cane with attached facehugger. Number 9. Big Chapsticks. That's right, Giger's biomechanical nightmare can be used to pick up your favorite sushi, or slurp down some ramen. Kotobukiyo, the creator of one of the most accurate alien figures ever produced, and champion of my top 10 Big Chap figure list, also released a set of hyper-detailed Big Chap Chopsticks. And not just the Big Chap, but they also released a facehugger set, as well as a chestburster set. These hyper-detailed utensils sport a see-through dome with skull underneath, and multiple paint applications that taper down to a semi-translucent tail, with which to capture and devour your prey. As I'm sure anyone who's ever pursued strange collectibles could tell you, Japan features heavily on this list. Number 8. Big Chap minifigures. Once again, Kotobukiya has made the list. At first glance, a box of miniature plastic Big Chaps doesn't seem like an oddity at all. That is, until you start looking at the poses. More fun than a barrel full of monkeys, these tiny chaps are chock full of ultra-cute personality. Like yoga pose. And if you're not the athletic type, who can't identify with squat pooping alien? His bowels now evacuated, he's free to relax. And as you stare at him, you might find yourself beginning to daydream. And what does the perfect organism daydream about, you ask? Why? Breakdancing, of course. Ready to serve Ripley a dance competition she won't soon forget. And should he lose that competition, the Xenomorph needs to hang in there if he's ever going to get over his disdain for Mondays, because Monday Alien lives for the weekend, sir. Number 7. Squishamorph. Has your main complaint about the Star Beast been that he's not cuddly enough? Well, thank goodness ThinkGeek has got you covered with this officially licensed plush Big Chap featuring a supremely huggable plush design and squeezable tummy that ejects his inner mouth with surprisingly child eyeball destroying speed and power. This 3 years and up monstrosity should give your small children poltergeist-style toy issues all the way through their formative years. How do you get a plush Xenomorph, you ask? Number 6. Mr. Potato Chap. If you ever wondered if Mr. Potato Head collectors and alien collectors had a crossover point, now you know. Ready to send your blood sugar spiking, this carb-rich chap is both a threat to the Irish and arterial function throughout the US. Not to be left out of the Funko Pop conversation, Super Impulse, creators of the world's smallest brand, presents the Pop Tater line, which features everything from Jason Voorhees to Bob Ross, and their inclusion of the Big Chap deservedly etched its way onto this list. And if Andy had been a little cooler, Toy Story could have been a completely different film. Number 5. The Super Real Alien Hand Puppet by Medicom. The oldest item on the entire list is also from one of the most prolific toy companies to come out of Japan, and one that has been producing alien figures since the 1980s. This soft vinyl hand puppet is a mashup of design elements from the first and second film, but even though this puppet shares elements with the second film, it is in fact only officially licensed to the original 1979 Alien. It is extremely rare that you find one where both the figure and box are in pristine condition, as the paint applications tend to degrade over time. So if your Muppet Show needs a little extra flair, Medicom understands your needs. Number 4. The Reborn Swarm XRex Plague variant. If you love both dinosaurs and Big Chaps, and spend copious amounts of time reimagining Jurassic Park with biomechanical dinosaurs, this might be the figure for you. Part of the spectacularly detailed yet almost comically underpriced Reborn dinosaur line, this highly detailed and meticulously painted what-if figure is not only a strange addition to your collection, but an incredibly well-crafted figure to boot. Originally planned as a Queen and Big Chap with 2 alternate color variations, only the original metallic version of the Broodlord Queen and Plague variant of the Swarm figure were ever released, featuring a spectacularly detailed sculpt. This thing has a translucent removable dome with T-Rex skull underneath. The XRex is far more awesome than the idea has any business being. So if you're tired of your Xenomorph being able to reach things or open peanut butter jars, and you want a conversation piece for your desk, this is probably it. Number 3. What's the strangest thing you've ever won in a claw machine? Well, if you visited the Sega arcade in Japan, it might have been these Big Chap hand sanitizer dispensers. If you thought the pandemic couldn't be made any stranger, just see what happens when you demand guests pump COVID-killing antibacterial hand wash from the head of a Big Chap. Also perfect for dish detergent, scented bathroom lotion, and lubricants for reasons far too shameful to mention. The Alien soap dispenser is the perfect housewarming gift for anyone who just got a job with the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. Number 2. If you thought things couldn't get any stranger than the potato or the T-Rex, you were just so wrong. But one channel subscriber exactly envisioned a world this strange. That's right, JK Oblivion, you guessed it. Pika Chap and Bulba Chap. This strange little unlicensed duo has no official origin, and has been produced in a myriad of wildly different colors and box designs, all hailing from different Chinese factories and resellers, so it is very difficult to suss out whose idea this originally was. But whoever did originally create it, it was a labor of love. As the design is complex and thoughtful, both figures are manufactured of fairly high-grade PVC and have see-through plastic domes, with Pokemon skulls underneath. The paint applications are relatively uniform, and the sculpt is highly detailed. In other words, these may be bootleg figures, but they definitely lend the air of legitimacy. Which brings me to my honorable mention before we explore number 1. The Snailian. Subscriber Rosario correctly predicted the T-Rex Chap would be number 4, and guessed that the Snailian could be around number 3, and he was very close as I was about to place that figure squarely at that number, until I started researching it. When compiling this list, I tried to be careful to keep personal art projects off of it, Otherwise, you could get pretty far out into the weeds with Simpsons aliens and macrame xenomorphs. When researching the origins of this biomechanical mollusk, I found that it was originally sculpted in 2019 by the artist Aaron Smith at Ravendark Creations, and is sold made to order exclusively on his Etsy page. Every other version, from eBay to Amazon and all the way down to Alibaba, is a Chinese reproduced knockoff. On top of this, it would appear that many people are also selling 3D print files modeled off of these knockoffs, effectively stealing money right out of the original artist's pocket. And I own one of these knockoff versions, as I was unaware of how these came to be. After finding all of this out, I think I may reach out to Aaron and do an episode dedicated squarely to this figure and the knockoff issue plaguing modern artists. So in the end, great guess, Rosario, and thank you, as you may have inspired a whole new episode. Number 1. Alien Man, because he dared to dream and never stopped believing. Yes, that's right, the number 1 strangest Big Chap figure is one that doesn't even exist at all. And what's weirder than a fake bootleg? Well, that might be a knockoff of a fake bootleg. And as anyone who has watched my 3rd YouTube video ever, I dared to dream and set forth to recreate the infamous Alien Man. And some others may know this figure for its racist CIA meme, but the origin of the Alien Man is the brainchild of Zevi Solar, who produced the figure as a social commentary art piece under the moniker Spy Mode. One part sardonic rebuke of consumerist culture, and one part ode to the late Balaji Badeo. Once the Alien Man hit the internet, it took on a life of its own, often found on WTF parts of image sites and social media pages. The figure itself is a combination of the Tescuda Hobby Japan Big Chap head keychain and the Scooby-Doo glow-in-the-dark 5-inch Skeleton Man figure. It was this strange viral picture that sent me down the rabbit hole of cataloging every single Alien Big Chap figure that's ever been released. Researching the Alien Man also inspired me to pay tribute to Zevi's hilarious and thought-provoking social commentary with my own Nightmare Man, because he couldn't wake and never believed. My version consists of a McFarlane Aliens figurehead and a 50th anniversary Scooby-Doo Skeleton Man body. So to me, the strangest alien figure is an idea, one that sent me chasing after something that couldn't be topped in oddity, and inspired me to reproduce it, to hold it in my own hands, and pay tribute to it in order to understand the process. So when all is said and done, I never found anything out in the wild that quite topped the curiosity inspired by this figure, imaginary though it is. So I hope you enjoyed this weird and wild, wonderful world of the top 20 strangest alien Big Chap figures, and if you'd like to know more about the Alien Man, I will put a link to that video at the end of this one. To all of those who participated in the comments section, your input and observations were greatly appreciated. And if you just stumbled on this video, please don't hesitate to join our ever-growing group by hitting like, commenting, and subscribing. And as always, never stop collecting.